Have you taken a drive through your city center lately? I don't mean a quick zip through on the freeway. I mean really driving down Main Street or Broadway in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon. If you have, you might have felt something unsettling. It's not chaos. It's not noise. It is a profound, heavy silence. Streets that used to be a gridlock of delivery trucks and commuters are now wide open. Sidewalks that were once an obstacle course of pedestrians are now barren. But the most chilling detail isn't the lack of people. It's the windows. Row after row of dusty glass, taped up with, for lease, signs that have been hanging there so long the corners are curling from the sun. But here is the paradox that is driving Americans to the breaking point. While your city slows down, and the services crumble, and the vibrancy fades, look at your mailbox. Your property tax bill didn't get the memo. In fact, it's higher than ever. This is the new American reality. You are paying premium subscription prices for a service that has been severely downgraded. And across the state of California, and increasingly the rest of the country, homeowners are asking a question that terrifies local governments. What exactly am I buying with this money? We are witnessing a quiet, invisible migration. It isn't a protest with signs and bullhorns. It is a revolt of the checkbook. It is the sound of moving trucks packing up in the middle of the night. From the tech hubs of the Bay Area to the coastal retreats of the Central Coast, a tax backlash is turning bustling communities into ghost towns. So, what is actually happening behind those shuttered storefronts? Why do taxes keep rising even as property values wobble? And most importantly, is your town the next domino to fall? And welcome back to Tax Hack Pro. Today, we are exposing the fiscal paradox that is hollowing out America's most iconic cities, and we're going to show you why your zip code might be next on the list. Let's start with the crown jewel that lost its shine, San Francisco. For decades, this city was the ultimate status symbol. Owning a Victorian home here wasn't just real estate. It was like holding a winning lottery ticket. You put up with the fog, the traffic, and the exorbitant cost of living because the return on investment was undeniable. You were at the center of the world. But today, if you drive through the financial district or Union Square, it feels like you've walked onto a movie set after the crew has gone home. It is operating in a state of suspended animation. The massive office towers that used to pump thousands of workers into the streets every day are sitting at record vacancy levels. The tragic result is a collapse of the street-level economy. The dry cleaners, the $20 salad spots, the happy hour bars, they didn't close because they failed. They closed because their customers vanished. But here is where the tax hack perspective is vital. When commercial real estate crashes, when those skyscrapers stop paying massive tax revenues, who do you think the city comes after to fill the budget hole? You, the residential homeowner. For the long-time resident, this is a financial nightmare. Imagine a couple in their late 60s. They bought their home in the Sunset District 30 years ago. They aren't wealthy tech tycoons. They are teachers or civil servants who got in early. They have paid into the system for decades. But now, they sit at their dining table, staring at a property tax bill that includes bond measure after bond measure, money for schools with fewer students, money for homelessness programs that seem to make the problem worse, money for infrastructure that is crumbling. They aren't asking, can we pay this? They are asking, why should we pay this? In San Francisco, the social contract has shattered. The unspoken deal was, I pay high taxes, you give me a world-class city. When the city stops holding up its end of the bargain, when the streets are dirty, the police are understaffed, and the businesses are gone, the tax bill stops feeling like a contribution and starts feeling like theft. This leads to the quiet exit. This isn't a loud political statement. It's a financial calculation. Homeowners are looking at their equity and realizing it's their only lifeboat. They sell. They cash out. They move to states with functional governments and lower overhead. And when they leave, they take more than just their tax dollars. They take the civic pride. These were the people who watered their flowers, watched the neighbors' kids, and served on local boards. When you replace a 30-year resident with a vacant house or a short-term renter, the soul of the neighborhood dissolves. San Francisco isn't dying because of a single event. It is dying because the math no longer makes sense to the people who built it. Just across the bridge, the the story changes flavor. If San Francisco is a story of lost luxury, Oakland is a story of exhaustion. Oakland has always been the scrappy fighter. It was the city with grit, soul, and a realness that San Francisco often lacked. For years, it was the refuge for people who were priced out of the city but still wanted the Bay Area lifestyle. It was the affordable alternative, but that narrative is dead. Oakland is no longer affordable, and for many residents, it is no longer livable. Walk through downtown Oakland right now. The silence there is heavy. It's a tentative, cautious atmosphere. Restaurants that used to have lines out the door are closing early because it's not worth keeping the lights on. Storefronts are trapped in a cycle of grand opening, followed 6 months later by liquidation sale. But the real story is in the tax bill. Oakland homeowners are victims of what we call line-item fatigue. In Oakland, politicians don't just raise the general tax rate. They add parcel taxes. Then they add school levies. Then a library bond. Then a park assessment. Then a public safety measure. Each one is sold to the voters as just a few dollars a month. It sounds like the price of a cup of coffee. But when you stack 20 of these cups of coffee on top of each other, year after year, it becomes a mortgage payment. Residents are looking around at the potholes that haven't been filled, the 911 response times that are dangerously slow, and the schools that are struggling, and they are furious. This is a different kind of tax revolt. This isn't about hoarding wealth. It's about survival math. Oakland residents are working-class families and retirees who are house-rich but cash-poor. They are being squeezed by a city bureaucracy that views them as an endless ATM. When you speak to homeowners in Oakland, the emotion isn't just anger, it's betrayal. They stuck with Oakland through the tough years. They believed in the town. But now, they feel like the city is actively working against them. The exodus here is heartbreaking. It's the grandmother who wanted to pass her house down to her grandkids, but has to sell because she can't afford the $12,000 annual tax bill on her fixed pension. It's the young family that realizes they can buy a mansion in another state for the price of their taxes and insurance in Oakland. Head south to the heart of Silicon Valley, and you find a different phenomenon. San Jose. This is the capital of big tech. This is a city built on the promise that tomorrow will always be richer than today. San Jose's emptiness is baffling because the money is still there. The companies are still worth trillions, but the people have disconnected. San Jose is suffering from the remote work reckoning. This city was designed as a dormitory for the tech giants. You lived here so you could commute to the Googleplex or the Apple Park. You paid the exorbitant property taxes because high salaries made it irrelevant. But then, the world changed. The laptop class realized they didn't need to be in the 408 area code to log into Zoom. Now, downtown San Jose feels like a showroom with no customers. The restaurants that catered to the tech lunch crowd are starving. The light rail system runs empty trains back and forth like ghost ships. The homeowners in San Jose view their city through a purely transactional lens. These are engineers, data scientists, and logical thinkers. They look at their city services like a subscription model, like Netflix or Amazon Prime. The calculation is simple. I am paying $20,000 a year in property taxes. What are the features of this subscription? Safe streets? No. Vibrant downtown? No. Short commute. Irrelevant now. So they are hitting the cancel button. Unlike the emotional heartbreak in Oakland, the San Jose exit is cold and efficient. People are selling their million-dollar tract homes and taking that equity to places like Texas, Nevada, or Tennessee. The scary part for San Jose is that these were the whales of the tax base. When a high-income earner leaves, the city loses the property tax turnover, the sales tax they spent on weekends, and the business taxes from the startups they might have founded. San Jose is becoming a bedroom community for people who never leave their bedrooms. The civic fabric is dissolving because the shared experience of the city, the commute, the lunch rush, the happy hour, is gone. And without that shared experience, there is no justification for the luxury price tag. Then there is the behemoth, Los Angeles. LA is a city that runs on momentum. It is a sprawling, chaotic machine that has always been fueled by the dream that you can make it here. People tolerated the noise, the smog, and the taxes because LA was where the action was. But recently, the machine has started to grind its gears. Driving through parts of LA, from downtown to the west side, you notice the for lease signs spreading like a contagion. Iconic shopping districts like Melrose or the 3rd Street Promenade have huge gaps in them. It feels like the city has lost its rhythm. In Los Angeles, the property tax revolt is a reaction to the sunshine tax becoming the survival tax. For decades, we called the high cost of living the sunshine tax. It was the premium you paid for the weather and the beach. But now, the cost of entry has become punitive. We are talking about the middle-class squeeze. The ultra-rich in Beverly Hills can absorb the tax hikes. The low-income residents receive subsidies and aid. But the middle class, the backbone of Los Angeles, is being crushed. These are the people who own a modest bungalow in the valley or a condo in Culver City. They are too rich for help, but too poor to handle 5% inflation and rising tax assessments. In LA, the frustration is compounded by visibility. You pay your taxes, and then you step outside and see infrastructure that looks like the third world. You see encampments blocking the sidewalks you pay to maintain. You see potholes destroying the car you pay taxes to register. The disconnect is violent. The city keeps asking for more money to fix the problems, yet the problems visibly get worse. This destroys trust. And without trust, a tax system cannot function. Angelenos are quietly checking out. They are moving to neighboring counties or fleeing the state entirely. The loss of the entertainment industry's middle class, the grips, the writers, the editors, is gutting the local economy. These were the people who spent money in their neighborhoods. When they leave, the local ecosystem dries up. LA is becoming a city of the very rich and the very poor, with a hollowed-out middle that used to pay the bills. Finally, let's look at a place that was supposed to be safe. San Luis Obispo. This isn't a metropolis, it's a sanctuary. It's the happiest place in America, according to Oprah. It was the place you moved to when you were done with the rat race of LA or SF. It was built on a slower pace, a tight community and balance. But the tax revolt has no borders. In a small city like San Luis Obispo, the impact of rising costs is even more intimate. You notice when the bakery that has been there for 20 years closes. You notice when your neighbor, who swore they would die in that house, suddenly puts a for sale sign in the yard. Here, the tragedy is the loss of the forever home. SLO is filled with retirees and people on fixed incomes. They planned their retirement based on the math of 10 years ago. They didn't account for the explosion in insurance rates combined with aggressive local tax assessments to cover city budget shortfalls. When you live in a small town, you don't have the anonymity of a big city. When the cost of living forces a family to leave, it leaves a hole in the church, the school, and the volunteer fire department. The ghost town effect here is subtle but dangerous. It looks like gentrification in reverse. The locals are being priced out, not just by wealthy out-of-towners, but by the government itself. The taxes and fees associated with owning a home here are turning it into a boutique destination for the wealthy, rather than a functioning community. Residents are realizing that paradise has a price tag they can no longer justify. They are moving to Idaho, Arizona, or the Midwest. They are trading the ocean breeze for financial security. It is a heartbreaking trade, but for many, it is the only way to avoid running out of money before they run out of time. So, what is the lesson here? This isn't just a California story. This is a warning for every taxpayer in America. When local governments stop respecting the relationship between revenue and results, the system breaks. We are seeing a fundamental shift in the American mindset. People are no longer willing to be passive piggy banks for inefficient cities. They are voting with their feet. They are realizing that loyalty to a zip code is a financial liability. If you are seeing these signs in your town, the empty storefronts, the lingering for lease signs, the rising tax bills despite declining services, do not ignore them. These are the early tremors of a fiscal earthquake. You need to look at your home not just as a place to live, but as an asset that is under attack. Understanding the tax hack mindset means knowing when the ROI of your city has turned negative. Don't let nostalgia keep you in a financial sinking ship. Stay educated, watch the numbers, and prioritize your financial freedom over a zip code that no longer serves you. If you found this analysis helpful, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel get this message out to more homeowners. And make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications for Tax Hack Pro. We are digging deep into the tax codes, the real estate trends, and the financial loopholes that can save your wealth in these turbulent times. Don't be the last one holding the bag. I'll see you in the next video.